Now I need you to listen very carefully to what I'm really saying in this video about unconditional love, or lack of it, towards animals in this country. Because we're at a turning point. Do we want a world of compassion and empathy, let's call it the light, or will we continue to let the darkness rule? There's a meme that has been going around. Why are we taught to fear the witches and not the people who burned them? As we now know, the witches were usually women who were healers, midwives, herbalists, or maybe just too beautiful or pretty or intelligent for someone who took offense and wanted them gone. Sadly, we haven't moved on from this witch hunt mentality. We're still getting people who are passionate about spilling blood, animals and humans, and that's both a bit creepy and a lot scary. We're about to witness another media frenzy fueled by hate and ignorance in order to eradicate the iconic Australian wild horse, our Brumby. So today, I just wanted to point out a few things that I learned while making my documentary and fighting injustice, especially since our Black Summer in 2019. Now, why has the hate ramped up since then? What's going on? They used to be protected by legislation, at least in New South Wales. So on one hand, we have this innocent, deeply spiritual, highly intelligent, and hugely loving species minding their own business in the wilderness where they've lived for centuries. On the other hand, you have some key players who like to make things up for their own agenda, just like they did in the burning times. So, here's a few facts to think about before you get sucked into believing the lies that I've already seen online and in the media. 1. Horse populations do not explode after wet weather. Plants might, horses do not. Notice the use of an inflammatory word, explode. Clever. It immediately makes people feel anxious. 2. The truth is, mares can only manage one foal a year due to their long gestation period. Not 2 foals a year. That's impossible. That is a falsehood. Also, not every mare wants to fall pregnant and will refuse a stallion if they feel like it. They have that choice and they use it. 3. There's not 18,000 horses in the KNP. I have no idea where they get the number from. But this is the number now being bandied about as if it's fact. The truth is, there's only about 1,000 horses left. 1,000. And if you go down to the Kosciuszko National Park and take a helicopter, like many MPs and other concerned folks have done last year, trying to count this mythical 14,000, now suddenly 18,000, you won't be able to count more than 1,000. Go down and see for yourself. How can they make this stuff up? Anyway, 4. Next, let's talk about the water. Apparently, Brumbies foul the waterways. Now, let's get real. Horses have been on this planet for over 30 million years. 30 million years! Over that! If they dirtied the water they depend on to survive, they wouldn't have survived 1 year. Brumbies are wild animals and they don't dirty the water or destroy the environment they depend on to survive. Humans, however, are always soiling their own environment and waterways and could really learn a thing or two about life and living from the Brumby. 5. Did you know that Australia used to have megafauna? These large animals occupied a unique position in the Australian ecology, a role that's been missing since they've been gone. So along comes a second chance to have a large herbivore in the wilderness doing that very important work. Equines have a special way of digesting food and producing manure that not only nourishes the soil, but improves biodiversity. The wild equines also have a symbiotic relationship with the other animals they live with, helping them by digging through the ice to get food in the winter, for example, or digging to get water in the dry areas, and even saving their lives by reducing the fire load through their grazing. Yes, the wild horses are introduced in Australia, but in the 200 years they have already been here, the wilderness has adjusted to them and has come to depend on them. Further, the pristine environment everyone talks about has been pretty much trashed by humans. Like I said before, we need to learn a thing or two from the other animals we share this planet with. I love it when cinematographers film this majestic wilderness with massive power lines running through it. Seriously, just no. Just no. They can't even see them. 6. In our country, We snarl the word feral, which simply means wild or gone wild if you look it up in the dictionary. But the witch hunters have made it a dirty word, a filthy word, a word associated with pest. In Canberra, the brainwashing has been so good, people honestly believe that our beautiful kangaroos are feral pests, which makes it okay to mow them down on the motorways and shoot them in the thousands at night during the annual cull. Why does anyone think a bloodbath is a good idea? Because that's what a cull is. Humans are honestly terrifying. There are even some in that fair city that believe that wild horses kill possums and are cannibals. I mean, that's just absurd. But then some people we have seen over and over throughout history will believe anything. 7. On the flip side, some of the things I've learned over the last 2 decades about wild horses and are about their society, their family structures, their strong bonds, and how they relate to the earth and the environment and other beings, how they mate for life, how they can cry and grieve like the best of humans, how they line up their magnetic field with the earth's, how their heart center radiates love so much more than humans, and how telepathic and spiritual they really are. Mother Earth adores them. She has helped them travel all over the globe to do their work, and now they are here. We should be bowing to them with so much appreciation and gratitude, seriously. We think of ourselves as a loving species, but are we truly? There have been some very disturbing stories come to light of late, and one of them includes the mass brainwashing by this effective and quite horrifying propaganda machine through a couple of organisations and men. So let me tell you a story about a baby horse stuck in the mud in the Kosciuszko National Park. A woman of heart. And I mean, seriously, what's wrong with all these people who call heart-centered people bleeding hearts and snowflakes as if they were bad and being kind was something to be ashamed of? Huh? This woman and her family came across this baby and immediately went to save him. Good people, heart people. They called for help from the horse campers across the bog, who said, "It's just a Brumby." They proceeded to take photos of this woman struggling to rescue the foal. They did not help. The family managed to get the foal out of the mud, and the woman drove around to no less than 13 campsites. People with floats and food and supposed horsey know-how, and every single one of them refused to help. It's just a Brumby. They bought the feral pest line. Just a Brumby? He was a baby in trouble, a tiny wee foal, an innocent, a vulnerable being. How do you think he felt? And believe me, they know. We're talking highly developed extra senses here, folks. Why were we taught to fear the witches instead of the people who burned them? Once our iconic Brumbies were revered, today the authorities say that it's humane to shoot them from the air or trapped in traps. Just imagine for a moment having your entire family gunned down in an almighty bloodbath. I don't know if you ever saw the footage of the Guy Fawkes Brumbies being gunned down by helicopter in 2000. But back in those days, Australian citizens were horrified. There was an enormous outcry. The government promised it would never happen again. But that was over 20 years ago, and we certainly have not evolved as a species. Today, people talk casually about humane culling. There's no such thing as a friendly or a kind bloodbath. Sorry, there's just not. The fear, the terror, the grief, the screams, the little ones left to die on their own. Where is the love here? Where is compassion and empathy? There is no such thing as humane murder of living beings who want to live. No. Unacceptable. Why can't we just love unconditionally? Can we forget for a moment the colour of the skin, the type of temple housing a soul? It's time for compassion for all, for every single soul. Where is our empathy? We are all animals, and other shapes of animals are no different to us, believe me. We all love and grieve and feel terror. I believe we humans are here on this planet with the other animals, not to use and abuse them, but to help and heal. That's why we have hands and a heart. So I'm asking everyone, when you hear the lies and the injustice, speak up. Be the resistance. Don't let them witch hunt the wild horses we are blessed to have, or any other animal or person. We are never going to get a different world until we all speak up, act. Do not sit on the sidelines in the dark with the dark. Be the light. Illuminate the truth. Be the resistance. Be the protector. Be the divine feminine. Be the disruptor of an old paradigm. End it now before it's too late. Shine your light to protect the light.